So Maricopa County, as far as I understand it, does not deny that a huge number of printers didn't work on Election Day, but they're saying it had no effect?
Well, and it had a huge effect, obviously, Tucker. Our voters were showing up on Election Day. That was no secret. And the minute the polls opened, the wheels fell off. The ballot printers weren't working. There wasn't enough toner in the printers. The tabulators weren't working. It became a debacle. And the lines started forming right away. Some of the lines, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And there's video of people walking out of line. People told us, and this is in our lawsuit, that they showed up, they couldn't even find parking because the parking lots were full and the lines were long, and many people didn't even get to vote. And those who did vote, when they went up to get the printer out, the printer didn't have toner in it, so the ballots weren't dark enough. And our voters were showing up and voting 3-1 for me on Election Day. We vote for a full month in Arizona with early ballots, and on Election Day, when the Republicans showed up, the Election Day voting was sabotaged, and that's what our case is going to prove. It's a 70-page lawsuit that reads like a real crime novel, and it's shocking what they did. The man who runs Maricopa County elections ran a PAC. He actually started a PAC raising thousands of dollars to defeat me, and he's running our elections. And then my opponent oversees all the elections in Arizona. It was a conflict of interest, and not only was Katie Hobbs working with big tech to censor people, the man who runs Maricopa County elections, they were also censoring people as well online.
I don't think anyone denies that a lot of the voting machinery didn't work on Election Day. I mean, I don't think that's a controversial point that you're making, an observation. But weren't they tested all the day before?
They are supposed to be tested, but they weren't tested. They weren't tested in the appropriate way. And they didn't have the basics like toner in these machines. I mean, this is real basic stuff. It's not like we don't know when Election Day is. We can figure out when Election Day is from here to eternity. And they were not prepared. And we will have an expert testifying that this could not have happened by accident. There had to be malicious intent. We have an excellent court case, and we had our first hearing yesterday and set up a time for our trial to begin. And it will be next Tuesday, and we will be presenting a lot of evidence. We have 4 whistleblowers, one that worked for a company called Runbeck, who said there were 300,000 ballots inserted into the system that had no chain of custody. Others who were in the voter signature verification department said tens of thousands of ballots were rejected because there were no signatures or scribbles, and they somehow got thrown in and counted anyways. There are a plethora of problems that went down in Maricopa County, and if somebody doesn't stand up and say we can't have our elections being run this way, then we'll never have another fair election. I mean, 60% of the polling places on Election Day were inoperational or non-functioning. When do we stop and say enough is enough? Would it have to get to 80%, 90%, 100%? When do we say we need to have our elections run fair?
I completely agree with you. And if you care about democracy, this would be the top of your list. I'm glad you're doing this. Kari Lake, thank you for telling us about it tonight. Good to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.